It's Rhema Breakfast. You're with Andrew and Kat.
And this morning we have the privilege of chatting to Dana Busduta, the World Vision Global Advocacy Leader, all the way from Romania right now to talk about what's been going on around the world and a recent report released from World Vision about malnutrition in women and girls. Well, good morning, Dana. Great to have you with us today.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me from so far.
Well, look, it's an incredibly worthy reason to be speaking to somebody, isn't it? This report that's just been prepared, looking into, well, what's been described as a global crisis right now with over 1 billion affected. Can you help us understand how serious the situation is and what the biggest risk factors are, particularly for women and girls, as shown in this report?
Indeed, girls' malnutrition is such a pervasive global crisis because it has far-reaching implications. Hunger, when we talk about girls, doesn't just compromise the girls' health and well-being. It threatens their future because it impacts their education, their future earnings, and even the future of their children. So that's why we call it a vicious cycle.
Okay, so let's talk about some of these actual symptoms of malnutrition. What are we talking about here exactly?
So we are talking about situations when children as young as 2 are already stunted because we know that especially stunted girls are at increased risks. We found in our report that is called Breaking the Cycle, the cost of malnutrition to girls. And the people who are listening right now can find the full study on World Vision's webpage, worldvision.org.nz. What we found is that when we are looking at malnutrition and the global costs of malnutrition, we are talking about 1.6 trillion US dollars per year. And that comes from lost productivity and lost potential for girls. And I was saying that we can look at stunting, we can look at anemia, we can look at low birth weight. All those are really symptoms of malnutrition for girls.
And of course, as you mentioned too, this is a cycle here. It's not just the one girl's life, but of course it has flow-on effects to their children and the wider community too. So how does that impact the children and then the long-term consequences for the communities?
The impact is quite dramatic. We are looking at girls who are historically the most vulnerable anyway, especially in the vulnerable communities. Think about how the climate changes affect them, how the different types of crises through which communities are going, they disproportionately impact on the girls. What we found actually was that during COVID, for example, the women and girls that were experiencing food insecurity grew from 49 to 126 million.
Wow.
So that pretty much more than doubled the vulnerability of women and girls to malnutrition.
These stats are really shocking. And before I ask you about how we can make a difference after hearing this, I'm going to go off script a little bit and just ask you personally, what motivated you to be involved with World Vision and want to make changes in this area?
World Vision is a Christian organization, and our vision is a vision where every child has life in all its fullness. And this is biblical, right? This is John 10:10, when God is telling us that he came so that all children, all his children have life and have it to the full. Exactly that's what I believe. I believe that each child, each life has that purpose in our Lord's eyes, so that they can live life in all its fullness. When you think about a girl who is already stunted at the age of 2, with all the implications for that, that cannot be life in all its fullness. That girl is already 3 times more exposed to dying in very early childbirth. We know that girls who are not who are malnourished are more likely to get married 3 years before their peers and have more pregnancies and have 6 times increased risk of dying in childbirth.
Wow.
We also know that their children can be malnourished because over half of all the malnutrition actually and stunting starts during pregnancy and in the first 6 months of that baby's life. So this is why actually sponsoring a girl makes such a huge difference.
And it is an incredible
Sponsor-
difference, isn't it? Why don't you tell us then about the difference that sponsorship through World Vision will make? Because we know of the risks and the dangers now. Let's talk about the change that World Vision brings.
Indeed, I've seen it firsthand, and obviously, I would say that, but I say it with all my heart because I know what difference it can make. When you're able to be there with a community for 10, 15 years, you can really make a sustainable change. What happens is that girls, including from very vulnerable families, are being monitored more often, and therefore, if they are malnourished, that can be identified early and treated. World Vision demonstrated that we are making more than 88% full recovery for the children who we are treating for malnutrition. That's major. That is life-saving intervention. Or we can talk about the school meals that are part of this global campaign that we call Enough, one of our interventions. School meals allow girls, as vulnerable as they are, to stay in school. Otherwise, without intervention, girls who are malnourished risk to attend even up to 5 years less than their peers in education. Think about the implication for a lifetime.
Yeah, I've actually seen this firsthand in Tanzania. It's an incredible impact, the difference that sponsorship makes, the difference between girls staying in school, girls having access to healthcare. I mean, healthcare centres are literally put in villages because of the wraparound support that World Vision provides. So thank you so much for joining us, Dana, today. And I guess the last thing to leave people with is if people are passionate about seeing lasting change, where can people go to find out more information or to sponsor a girl?
I would say go to the webpage of World Vision New Zealand, which again is www.worldvision.org.nz. And you can find there not only amazing change stories that have an impact, but also you can see how you can help and become part of this beautiful narrative that God has created for all of us.
I love that. Become part of a beautiful narrative this morning. Dana, thank you once again. And remember, you can go to that website, worldvision.org.nz, and sponsor one of these girls. Transform a community today. Amazing. I hope you enjoyed that as much as we did.
Yeah, don't forget to like and subscribe and turn your notifications on so you don't miss the next video.
We'll see you in the next one.